Could we be looking at the impact of an extraterrestrial object?
Seems like such an isolated incident. But what if it's not? There is a truth, and it's our duty to uncover that truth. Conclusion is, that was not a meteorite.
So the government is lying.
I'm determined to not walk away from here empty-handed.
Is this a crash site? A UFO?
I want this solved.
That's the longest encounter that we've heard of.
We could be looking at evidence of a UFO coming in for a landing.
How much farther is it?
4 kilometers more.
All right.
Investigative reporter Paul Beeben and Green Beret Intelligence Sergeant Kawa Male are deep in the mountains of Salta, Argentina, following a lead on the front lines of a worldwide investigation into possible extraterrestrial contact with Earth.
How much further?
About another half hour?
Half hour?
Yeah.
Roberto Vinas leads the team to the location where he witnessed a UFO crash on August 17, 1995.
Starting to open up a little bit.
The government claims that the object that Roberto witnessed was a meteorite, not a UFO.
The government said that this crash site is just a meteorite. So our objective here is to determine once and for all what crashed here. We want to make sure we're testing for everything possible, leaving no stone unturned.
Well, we're almost there.
This is the impact area?
Exactamente. It looks like this place has just been clear-cut. It just doesn't make any sense.
The team uncovers a massive clearing measuring 1,000 feet long by 500 feet wide, the equivalent of 10 football fields. Prior to the crash incident, the area was populated by a dense hardwood forest. Joining them is geologist Jorge Marcuzzi, who will lead them in a comprehensive survey of the site.
Jorge, what's your first impression of this place?
Bueno, no veo gran evidencia de campo.
Well, I don't see any evidence on the surface that shows that there's been a meteorite here.
What's the most efficient way to survey this area?
So the metal detector should tell us if there's a large concentration of metal. We want you, Paul, to take the metal detector.
Great.
And Kawa, you come with him and he'll teach you how to take the soil samples.
All right,
Let's get started.
let's do it.
Just how flat it is compared to the rest of the terrain is crazy.
I'm starting in the center with the metal detector, and I'm gonna work my way out in a spiral, just like you're mowing a lawn, to make sure I cover the entire site. Meteorites are usually made up of a lot of iron, so if anything like a meteorite came down in this area, there's gonna be an unusual concentration of iron. There's gonna be pieces of it, there's gonna be scattered all over this field.
Do I want to go to a certain depth or just go as deep as I can?
The deeper you go, the better we'll be able to analyze the soil that we get.
Okay.
In addition to metal detecting, they also collect soil samples every 50 feet to test its composition for any anomalies that could determine what touched down on the site.
Anything that sticks out to you? Anything odd?
Bueno, hasta ahora que es un material muy blando. Así de un impacto acá no se puede hablar.
The official government story was that this was a meteorite, but we've got a geologist up here. We've been digging around for hours, and he says it doesn't look like a meteorite to him. So, look, we'll wait for the test to come back. But so far, I think something else happened here, something that we just can't explain.
I definitely think this is the right first step. Go to this police station.
You know, if there was a big security operation up here, they certainly know about it.
While the team waits for the results of their soil composition tests, Paul and Kawa head to the Salta Police headquarters.
So according to eyewitness, local authorities closed off access to the site. So we're gonna go talk to the police in Salta. We're just hoping they can tell us some more details about what was really going on up there on the mountain.
Yeah. Kawa.
Hi. Paul, nice to meet you.
The team makes contact with Jorge Acosta, the department's desk sergeant.
So we're looking into an event back in 1995, August 17th, 1995, when there was an unexplained object crashed in the mountains nearby. And we're hoping you can give us some kind of incident report or any information or details that you have from that day.
Queríamos saber algunos detalles sobre ese incidente.
Bueno, me fijo. No tenemos registrado en la computadora sobre eso tipo de incidente que haya pasado.
They've got nothing from that day, nothing at all?
No tenemos registrado acá eso.
Is there someone else we can talk to that might know anything about that day?
Pueden hablar con mi superior, que es el comisario, el jefe de la comisaría.
It was a massive crash. Thousands of people saw it. The fact that the local police don't have any files, don't have any records, that's just really unusual.
The chief of Salta Police, Adolfo Torres, meets with the team.
We were hoping that you guys had some reporting regarding a huge crash of this object.
Algo del incidente sé, porque bueno, no era, digamos, nuestro caso, no era nuestra investigación. Acá en la policía de la provincia no quedó registro.
So you agree, you know that something happened that day and that lots of agencies were involved, but that your office has no records of it, and you also think it's weird. I'm just trying to get my head around this. It seems very strange that the local jurisdiction has no records of what was obviously a massive response to this incident.
Por lo menos acá no tenemos esa información. Sí, es extraño.
Their obligation in this case would have been to go and check if there were casualties and things, and that should be on record, but it's not. The record is not there. But he was not on duty. He was not on service then. That was before his time, 23 years ago. So the only thing that they have is what the people, what the neighbors talk about.
The local police, you guys had no role in the security or the investigation at all?
Oficialmente la policía no participó del incidente.
Okay. Wow. The local police claim that they have no records of this event and that some other agency, some higher authority came in and took over the investigation, which is really confusing. Like, who was it? Who was running the show?
Is there anybody else that we can talk to that might perhaps know anything about that date?
Sí.
Somebody commented to him off the record that there's one person who saw the explosion close by. Maybe you can follow this lead.
I'm really curious to hear from the eyewitness. I mean, I really want to know what he saw.
Paul and Kawa head to the outskirts of Salta to meet with Tony Galvano, the eyewitness provided to them by the chief of police.
Looks like this is it.
Yeah, man, looks like this is the place.
Tony is a 35-year veteran commercial pilot with intimate knowledge and understanding of Chilean airspace.
Buen día.
¿Cómo está?
Hola.
Rodrigo?
¿Qué tal? Hey. Tony, where were you the day of the UFO crash in 1995?
¿Dónde estabas el día en que se estrelló el ovni en 1995?
En ese día, 2 menos cuarto de la tarde, 13:45, estábamos, en mi caso particular, estaba de sobremesa.
And we heard a very, very strong explosion.
Could you feel the impact? Did it shake the ground?
Exactamente, movimiento telúrico.
Shaking like a shock wave.
Pueblos aledaños, Taco Pozos, Monte Quemado, que están a 150 kilómetros, sintieron igual que sentimos nosotros en Joaquín B. González.
150 kilometers.
Yes.
150 kilometers, yeah.
That's more than 90 miles.
So
Shaking
over 90
houses that
miles,
far
yeah.
away. This possible seismic activity, right? We've seen this before. We've seen it in Virginia. We've seen it in Mexico. We've seen it in Chile. And now that we're seeing it here in Argentina, it's just another connection linking together all these different UFO sightings. Then what did you do?
Fui directamente, hay una pista en el pueblo, tenía el avión hangarado en la pista.
I tried to go to the place where the explosion had taken place.
Cuando iba sobrevolando, veo hacia adelante una gran mancha blanca.
This trace that was about 500 meters wide and 2 kilometers long of like white powder. Everything was burnt and trees had been knocked down to the sides.
Mucho olor, había mucho olor como azufre.
Were you worried about this? Were you worried that it might be toxic, that it might be dangerous?
Sí.
Yes.
Yeah, I would be. I'm mystified by this white substance, this residue that was left behind. You know, was it a product of the explosion? Was it the actual craft disintegrating? You know, it just raises so many questions.
Tony, so when you actually got to the site, how big would you say this impact area was?
El área de impacto tendría aproximadamente unos 2 kilómetros de largo y el ancho que fue limpiando, digamos, donde la onda expansiva actuó, unos 500 metros de ancho.
It was like 1.5 miles long and 1/3 of a mile wide.
Oh, that's huge.
That's a massive area. Was there any wreckage? Could you see any pieces of anything?
No. Bueno, ese día aterrizo 7:30 de la tarde y bueno, abajo ya había periodismo, gente, muchísimo movimiento.
2 hours after the incident, the road had been blocked and you couldn't access the area.
Tony, this is within 2 hours of this crash. The whole area is on lockdown, basically?
Sí.
Were you able to see who was blocking these roads, what they looked like, anything like that?
Había gente de civil, ya había camionetas 4x4, había gente uniformada con uniformes negros.
So there were some strangers dressed as civilians and others that came in black 4x4s, all dressed in black. Some of these people spoke a little Spanish, but they were foreigners, and they were blocking all access to that area.
Really? Unidentified men in black that don't seem Argentinian, that really gets my attention. Somebody didn't want this story to get out. Somebody didn't want people to see that site. Somebody wanted to put a lid on this thing. Who was that? What were they trying to hide?
We just got an update from Argentina. The Argentine government told inquiring residents the object was determined to be a meteorite. On site, we conducted analysis to determine if meteorite explanations hold water. Analysis conclusions attached.
CIA veteran Mike Cole and conflict analyst Dr. Livingston review the final lab report from a battery of soil sample tests conducted at the impact site in Salta.
Elemental analysis of the soil was performed to search for indications of a meteorite impact, because they should be able to detect it. Iron, nickel, camosite, titanite, or perhaps the best indicator, shocked quartz. The analyzed samples were void of any of these particulates. In other words, conclusion is that was not a meteorite.
So the government is lying.
Right.
Whatever crashed in Salta, it wasn't a meteorite, which means that the fact that the Argentine government said that it was means that they were covering something up. There was something happening there they didn't want the public to know about. There is definitely a bigger story here.
The team also met with an eyewitness, a pilot named Tony Galvano, who flew over the site that day. Primary crash site was quarantined by a foreign organization, and access was limited within 48 hours of the event. They say they spoke English.
All right, so let me get this straight. Galvano says that a foreign organization, not the Argentine government, cordons off the area of this site,
Right.
won't let anybody on, and then the Argentine government says, in no uncertain terms, that this is a meteorite, and scientific analysis of the site says it is not a meteorite.
So it's not what the government said it was.
If that wasn't a meteorite, then what the hell caused that impact? And who are these men in black involved in that incident? Another potential UFO crash here, wiped away. We have some kind of government intervention. I feel like we're on the trail of something unexplained, truly unexplained, touching down on the surface of the Earth. But we can't get the physical evidence to confirm or deny this because the evidence was covered up and it was gone.
Yeah.
We got to take a different approach.
What we need is something like this. Hasn't been picked clean. Let's do a search. UFO, white powder, and let's remove declassified documents in our search. I'm just going to do worldwide.
The team searches for all unexplained crashes and landings that were not investigated by the government or military to try and find physical evidence that may not have been covered up.
Okay, so 107 results, pretty much all over the globe here. What's this? 94% relevancy. APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, preliminary information on a 3-witness landing case near Delphos, Kansas on November 2nd, 1971.
The link analysis software identifies a news article on a Kansas UFO sighting with no apparent government investigation involved.
At about 7 p.m., 16-year-old Ronald Johnson is tending a flock of sheep. Here's a rumble, sees a really bright object. It was on the ground. Where the object was first sighted, Johnson found a glowing phosphorescent ring-shaped area. Upon removing the surface soil, Johnson noticed the soil contained a large quantity of a white substance.
Look, that's the same thing as we were seeing in Salta, right?
Right.
Powdery white substance of some kind.
Volando, veo hacia adelante una gran mancha blanca.
This trace of like white powder.
Johnson took a photo of the ground immediately. Do we have that photo?
Let me see if I can find it. Here it is.
Is that the border of the ring? What are we looking at here?
We're looking at a very grainy image about, what, 5 decades old? Very hard to know what we're seeing here.
So, look, we need more data. We have eyewitnesses, matching physical characteristics, and in Salta, we had success getting a geologist on the ground and taking samples. Maybe we can do the same thing here. Maybe we can visit this site, and if it is linked to Salta, prove it. Between the signs of a physically altered Earth and similarities to what we saw in Salta, there's too much here for us to ignore this site in Delphos. If a UFO did in fact land here, it could be the key to finding the physical evidence we need to prove contact.
Where is Delphos? Small town.
That's all the residential. The rest of it is entirely farmland. Doesn't look like there's been any development, which is good. Maybe the site's still intact.
Could be. All the more reason to get them on the field as quick as we can.
I'm really excited to track Ron down. If this ring still exists and we can find it, I mean, that would be huge.
Nick Carnesi, U.S. Marine Intelligence Officer, and Sarah Crudis, astrophysicist and space journalist, land in Delphos, Kansas, on the hunt for Ron Johnson, the eyewitness to a potential UFO landing in this area.
There could be hard evidence here. That's a big deal for this investigation.
I mean, this is quintessential American small town.
How many Ron Johnsons can there be in this town? Everything looks closed.
Man. What's that?
Nothing.
It's like, yeah, they're closed. That place is closed. There's no one out.
There must be something on him online. I can't believe someone could be a literal ghost and have no records, no social media, not even like an address.
Yeah. This place might be open.
I'm gonna keep looking online.
I mean, they're very nice, but they don't know him.
There's got to be somebody who at least knows something about Ron Johnson.
Just gonna grab some gas real quick while we're here.
Sure.
Afternoon.
How you doing?
All right.
Good, thank you. This is going to sound a bit random, but do you know anyone by the name of Ron Johnson?
Yes.
Who you do?
Yep, he lives just at the edge of town.
Oh, really?
He's got a farm a couple miles north of town. Any particular reason?
We just we want to speak to him about something which happened back in the early 1970s.
The UFO sighting.
Have you got an address at all?
Yes.
So how far is this from where we are now?
About a half mile south of town.
So where is everyone? Because we've been walking around and everywhere's shut.
Small town, just Not a busy day.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a
Good.
great day.
You bet. Have a safe
Bye.
trip.
You're not going to believe this.
What's up?
That's an address for Ron Johnson. The guy in the gas station knew him.
I have a feeling that he's not going to want to be talking about this.
Yeah, Johnson.
Perfect.
Can I help you guys?
Hey, morning.
Morning.
Hi.
I'm Nick.
Nick.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Sorry for barging in on you like this, but we're in town investigating the Delphos ring incident.
Okay.
And we were told that a gentleman by the name of Ron Johnson was an eyewitness to that, and we're trying to track him down.
He's my father.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Is your father still around?
He is. He's actually here.
Ron Johnson has declined all prior media interviews.
We'd love to hear your story if you're willing to tell us.
Yeah, I'll tell you my story.
But agrees to provide his testimony to aid the investigation.
It'd been a long time. I was 15 years old. Come home and we had to do our chores, and I went to feed the sheep there, and just getting ready to go in the door and kind of heard a rumble, and I looked over there and it's just bright like electric welder, like the sun, and just hovering off the ground about 2 feet.
Was it an object or was it a light?
It was light and it shaped like a toadstool. It was 8 feet across and it was about 10 feet tall.
How far away were you from this?
I was probably about 30 feet from it.
Wow, close.
I told the folks about it, and we watched it go off. In a couple minutes there, it was completely gone. I mean, just like a star.
Oh, wow.
And I told them, come and see where it landed at. And they went over there to see where it's at. It was glowing, and Mom touched the ground, and their fingers turned numb, and said, wait a minute, I'll go get a camera and take a picture of this circle.
Ron shares with the team original photos of the ring, taken just moments after the incident, and another photo from 4 years later.
So this is a circle, this is the same circle?
Yep.
So this is 1971,
Yes.
1975. This mark remained for years.
Yes. The ground never took up any moisture, and years after years, nothing grew.
Ron's described this ring as lasting for years with some pretty unusual characteristics. You know, it would repel water, things wouldn't grow. Now, soil doesn't just change like that. Something must have caused that change. And in this case, the belief is that a UFO landed here and fundamentally altered the soil.
Do you think we could take a look at the site?
I can take you now if you want.
Ron leads Nick and Sarah to the spot where the incident occurred, now used as a cattle pen.
It would be right around here. The ring's down below, because I could put 2 foot of dirt on it.
When did you cover it with dirt?
Probably about 20 years ago,
Why?
because we had people trespassing on that fence line, get in the circle.
For you, it was best just to cover it up and forget about it, is that right?
Yes. Yep.
I feel like this incident has really affected your entire life.
It has.
We would love to bring in some experts and try and help you and try and find out exactly what happened here. Give the best attempt we can to find out what went on here. We need to be able to see if we can dig down and get to the original ring.
Yeah.
You'd be okay if we brought some equipment in here?
Yeah.
And a team to excavate?
Yep.
Because, you know, we have the tools and the technology now that they didn't nearly 50 years ago. And I believe that if we apply science, we could get some really interesting results.
I want this solved some way.
Is this soil unique? Is it unusual? Is there still some evidence of this ring? At the moment, we don't know yet. We need to call in some reinforcements who can actually get beneath the soil and get clean samples I'm determined to not walk away from here empty-handed.
Looks like Paul and Cal have been talking to the locals. We got some intel.
Mike and Dr. Livingston review an update from the field team in Argentina, where they are investigating a potential UFO crash outside the small town of Salta on August 17, 1995.
Apparently have long been rumors that a UFO successfully landed at Bariloche International Airport. Both Salta, Bariloche are in rural Argentina. Could they be related? This is not isolated incidents anymore.
Let's do an LAS search.
Landings, UFO, UAP, Bariloche.
One hit.
One document, 98% relevancy.
August 15th, 1995. That's just 2 days before the Salta incident. A 20 to 30 meter circle imprint on the Bariloche International Airport burned into the ground with 4 smaller circles in the corners caused by an extreme heat source. The soil had a strange white substance under the affected area.
Like Salta. Heat source, white substance. Could a UFO have touched down here in Bariloche and then crashed at Salta 48 hours later?
It's worth looking into. Airport officials have not released a statement despite completing an internal investigation. If things are moving around in airspace, coming in for a landing, leaving, they've got radars, they've got
cameras on it.
Right. They've got more data.
Let's get Paul and Cal over to Bariloche International Airport.
They can hopefully find somebody involved in that investigation, somebody who may have been there that day, and they might have the information we need.
If this spot is where something actually touched down, established contact, that's huge. This is a whole new category for us.
I haven't heard of too many cases where you have a controlled descent and a landing.
Right.
This airport is smaller than I thought.
Paul, Kala, and their translator Dario arrived just outside the Bariloche International Airport.
Hola.
Hola.
Buenos días.
Hola.
They've arranged a meeting with Daniel Garcia, the chief of the airport control tower at the time of the 1995 incident.
Daniel, what do you know about the reported UFO landing back in 95?
Marcas, las he visto, mucho la atención, ¿no es cierto? Pues estaban bien definidas.
Marks were found inside the airport perimeter, and they were very big and noticeable.
Can you describe the markings? Like how big?
Aparentemente era una marca cilíndrica con otras más pequeñas, ¿no es cierto? Como patas de apoyo, aparentemente.
Well, it's like a big circle with a series of circles around it.
Were these markings, were they very clean lines?
Estaba bien definido, sí.
They were flattened out and burnt.
The ground was burned.
Exactamente.
Wow. If this is an actual UFO landing safely on the surface of the planet, we need to learn as much as we can about what actually happened.
Una pequeña excavación, ¿no es cierto? Como para a ver si se detectaba algo anormal.
What did the investigators find?
Que yo tenga conocimiento en ese momento, en esa circunstancia, no lo puedo definir. Hubo otro caso que sí, que fue observado.
About 30 minutes prior to finding the marks, there was a UFO sighting at the airport on the ground, and that may be related.
Wait, so before the marks were found, there was a UFO sighting?
That's right. It was about 8 o'clock at night.
What happened?
Como jefe de turno en el edificio debajo de la Torre Vieja, cuando veo una luz muy fuerte.
There was something making the light. You just couldn't make out the shape. And there was a power failure. All the lights went out in the airport and also in the city.
In Bariloche?
Yes.
10 miles away.
Do you think that this object caused the power to go out?
Daría la sensación que sí, que una energía inexplicable.
We turned on the generators because there was an airplane coming in, and it started the landing process.
And what did they report? Did they see the object?
Se le pone al costado, al lado derecho.
The pilot was asking the control tower if there was another aircraft in the area because it was like right next to it and they didn't understand what was happening.
Comandante Polanco ve la luz, era muy intensa, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, estimo que sí, que tiene que haber sido el mismo objeto que se acercó.
What did he think this thing was doing?
No lo sé.
It appeared, and like it appeared, it just disappeared. There was about 30 minutes between the time that the light appeared and that he landed the plane.
It's amazing. This is 30 minutes of interaction between this object, the UFO, and the control tower and 2 other pilots. I mean, that is incredible. We've never seen anything like that.
That's the longest encounter that we've heard of.
Right. I mean, I've never heard of anything like it.
And honestly, the most intimate.
This is an actual UFO encounter between an object and a plane, and it seems to have been targeting this area. There are just so many questions here now. Why did this thing cause these blackouts? Why was it targeting this airport? We need answers.
Yeah, this is them right there.
Oh, wow.
Nick and Sarah are on the ground in Delphus, Kansas, where Ron Johnson, a local rancher, claims that in 1971, a UFO landed on his property, leaving behind a ring of strange white soil.
This mark remained for years.
Yeah.
But over the years, Ron has covered up this ring with 2 feet of topsoil to deter curiosity seekers from trespassing on his property.
So Deanne, Ron, he's the landowner. He was actually here. He witnessed the event.
Joining Nick and Sarah is a team of field researchers from Kansas State University's renowned Soil Science Department, led by Dr. Deanne Presley.
Can I see it?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay, cool.
Right over here where it's at.
Correct.
We've got a team of soil experts coming in. They've agreed to help us dig beneath the soil, get multiple samples, send it off to the labs where they're going to test it for us. If there's something strange going on here, science will find that answer to this question.
There's a pile of dirt right there.
Is there a chance the soil could be contaminated? Because that topsoil's been there for about 2 decades now.
In terms of has anything moved from that new topsoil into the old surface? There could be.
Okay.
The first thing I like to do is just mark it out with flags, and then we can pull the truck back here and pull our first core.
Okay.
So Ron, do you want to point us in the direction? We'll drop some flags.
Okay.
Like the dead center?
Yeah, that's the center right in there. One more notch there, I think.
With Ron's instructions, Nick and Sarah mark out the area of what they believe would be the buried location of the Delphus ring.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this about right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the truck that we're gonna use. It's a truck-mounted hydraulic probe. We're just gonna start it up here.
Dr. Presley utilizes a probe core sampler that can extract sediment from as deep as 2 feet into the ground, while limiting the soil specimen's contamination.
There we go, the moment we waited for, right?
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
I know, hang on. Obviously just have the manure here. So that red color is, topsoil. I would say we just have a regular old soil here coming down. I don't think we found the white substance.
Do we need to keep drilling?
I think we need to move.
Okay.
Reposition. Not really seeing anything much different than the last ones.
Unable to locate the ring with the core sampler, the team brings in a 6-ton excavator to expose a large swath of buried soil.
So it's almost like you'd have the topsoil, then the white mark.
So is this where we should be looking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team collects several samples, but with daylight fading, they still haven't found what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit disappointed. I was surprised that we didn't find anything that screamed landing site.
Yeah.
You guys, this stuff here is the most strange to me out of everything.
And where'd that one come from?
Right here.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I just think that looks like it could be the old surface preserved.
Oh, wow. What's so unusual about this?
What's unusual about it is how smooth these are.
So potentially a lot of pressure, like something landing, could have caused this.
Maybe. There's also something odd here. There's really no roots penetrating here. I don't really see too many pores going through it.
That's interesting because Ron said nothing grew where this circle was.
That's right.
All these are concentrated right around the circle, right around where we thought the ring would be found. Have you seen this before?
No, I don't think I've seen that. This is, I'd say, unique to the scenario. Can't wait to see if it's got any kind of different property in the lab, but I don't think I can really explain it right now.
Nick and Sarah head to Kansas State University, armed with the samples taken from Ron Johnson's property.
This is it.
Our hope is to conduct an analysis so we can determine if there are any anomalies that might help indicate what actually landed there back in 1971.
Hey, Gunga.
Hey, Gunga.
Hi, how you doing?
Environmental scientists Dr. Gunga Hadaraji and Jay Weeks will run the samples through a battery of soil composition tests.
We're gonna be able to see the results today, is that right?
Today, yeah.
Over here, we'll measure the pH.
The team starts with a pH test to find the soil's pH level. Normal soil in Kansas ranges from 5.5 to 7.
And this is just a standard pH electrode, so we'll submerge the electrode in the solution that's sitting above the soil. It's looking to be around 9.1, 9.2. 9.2 is actually pretty high.
Would that high of a pH make it less likely for something to grow?
Yeah, definitely.
Now we know that we have increased pH at that level, so next step.
The instrument that we're going to be using is a portable XRF, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy. Our group uses this mainly to assess the lead concentrations in like urban gardens and things like that to check for contamination. XRF uses X-rays of certain energy levels to eject the core electron around the nucleus of an atom. And when that happens, the extra energy that's lost is emitted as a packet of light, and the detector can measure that in the intensity of the concentration, which then relates to the amount of elements in that soil. It does emit X-rays. We all stand behind it. It should be okay. There shouldn't be any problem. So I'm going to turn around and kneel down here.
They didn't conduct elemental analysis at the sites back in the early 70s. And today, this is the first time that this elemental analysis is being run. And this test could very well deliver never before seen results.
There appears to be more calcium in the sample that was taken from the plate surface.
What would cause an increased level of calcium in a sample?
There are livestock on that ground. Manure tends to be pretty high in calcium.
So nothing unusual's come up on this test?
Nothing.
We need more testing to be done to build a complete picture of what's going on.
So next step?
Yeah, there's a quick test, put a few drops of water, and then see where the water bubbles form rather than water soaking in.
The team will now execute a saline absorption test to reveal whether the soil has come into contact with extreme heat. The less saline solution the soil absorbs, the more extreme heat the sample has come into contact with.
Okay, so we're using the A sample as our control sample.
Yeah, to compare whether or not we see any differences.
First, they test a control soil sample taken from 50 feet outside the ring.
So our control sample is all water.
Correct.
Correct.
The first test confirms soil outside of the ring absorbs water. Next, they will test the sample taken from inside the ring, where the UFO purportedly landed.
Oh. Can we try again?
Whoa.
That's weird.
Admittedly, I was not expecting that to happen.
No, neither was I.
Nor was I.
The sample didn't absorb any water, and now we've actually got physical evidence which does support Ron Johnson's story. Ron claims that it repels water. He's no chemist, as far as I know. So that's interesting that it does match that description.
It does match his description, yeah.
This is the most significant piece of evidence that something unusual has actually altered the site where this incident happened. It's just incredible.
This is the soil taken from that ring. And look at this. It repels water. Look at that.
Yeah, it's sort of clinging to the film of it, right?
Look.
That is something else. I don't think I've seen that from soil.
The Kansas State University soil science team has now proven scientifically that the soil in that ring is different from the soil around it. And that matches exactly what the eyewitness Ron Johnson said. All right, so think about Ron Johnson's account.
It was about 10 feet tall.
This mark remained for years.
Yes. The ground never took up any moisture, and years after years, nothing grew.
So what started out as a pretty wild story, this UFO landing in this field, now we've got some real science behind it.
We do.
That's a pretty big deal, because that could mean that his whole story is true. So could a UFO have touched down here and, using technology we don't understand, have somehow burned or altered the Earth so that it will no longer accept water? Could we be looking at the impact of an extraterrestrial object? And if so, why Delphos? Why nowhere, Kansas?
Seems like such an isolated incident,
right,
an isolated place. But what if it's not? Let's do a search in this area.
Okay.
Let's see what we find.
The team utilizes their link analysis software to search for all strange aerial phenomena within 50 miles of Delphos, Kansas in the last 100 years in an effort to uncover why a UFO might have touched down in this area.
All right, look at this, 36 hits. In 1980, a bright light in the sky looked like a star, but it was 4 or 5 hours before sun. 2016, we saw bright light move above the trees. Pull up this one, 89% relevancy. 2008, something brighter than the sun finds all the cattle huddled up in the shade like they do when a bad storm comes in. Hardly got a good view of it, but this thing wasn't much bigger than a car. That's actually about the same size
as the ring.
As that ring.
There's a lot of common threads here. All of them describing a light, comparing it to the sun. Multiple eyewitnesses. All of them describing it either on the ground or close to the ground. And in one case, a size similar to the ring reported by the Johnsons in 1971.
And look at this. These sightings are all clustering right here. Can you map it?
Carnero, Kansas.
What we're looking at is a cluster of 6 sightings within 3 square miles.
That's unusual. Carnero is a postage stamp of a town. It's probably about the same size as Delphos.
What is happening in Carnero, Kansas?
Let's get Nick and Sarah the coordinates for this cluster. Let's get them on the ground and see what they can find.
Next time on Contact.
What could possibly be around here drawing these objects? Well, that's interesting. It almost looks like a landing pad.
There were many UFO sightings over the lake for years.
Why would that UFO be hovering over this island?
Whatever this is, it looks like no one's been here for a while.
Aquí el gobierno realizaba proyectos secretos.
Oh, wow.
This is massive.
It wasn't until I served with CIA that I started to understand how secrets really work. There's a secret that's being held and somebody knows what's going on.
Does all of this have something to do with the UFO encounter?
Wow.